Hello, everybody. How you doing this Saturday afternoon? I'm going to be covering a little bit of this TCPA for Victor Mignana and against Funimation, Monica Rawl, Ronald Toye, and Jamie Marchi. Yeah, so let's get into it. All right, everybody. I don't know if you all know who this is, who Victor Mignana is. He's a voice actor for. He's done quite a few anime. You know, Dragon Ball Broly is probably his one of his most famous roles. He did something with Full Metal Alchemist. I'm not really into anime. I used to watch it a little bit years ago. You know, I watched some Robotech, like I think the show was called Lensman or movie Lensman. Vampire Hunter D, you know, Dragon Ball Z, stuff like that. But I haven't really watched anything in quite a long time. And he's in a defamation lawsuit and tortious interference against Funimation, Monica Rawl, who's a voice actor, Ronald Toye, which is Monica's fiance, and Jamie Marchi, who is also a voice actor. And this is all taking place in Tarrant County, Texas. I believe that's around Dallas, Fort Worth, somewhere around through there. I really don't know, too much. I'm not a lawyer or anything, so I really don't know all the legal ramifications or anything that's going on with this. But let's get to it, I guess. So this picture here is kind of disingenuous because this person here has already said she doesn't want her picture used for this, and they kind of use this for their own, I guess, shock value, I would say. But this part here, and you don't kiss children anymore. No. Do you agree with me that it's kind of creepy, right? No. Growing up, a lot of the older people and stuff like that would show signs of affection by kissing a person, a child on, their forehead or cheek, just like he's doing. She asked him to probably give her a kiss on the cheek, because I think this is who I think it is, from what I did a little bit of research on. She actually asked for him to do this, so what they're trying to put here isn't true. So I'm pretty sure that Vic's lawyers will be in contact probably with this young woman and get a statement from her and stuff like that. She says, I was approximately 14-year-old when she attended the New York Comic Con 2014 and met with Mr. Mignana. She describes the encounter as really uncomfortable. She discussed how the voice actor put his hand underneath her zipper sweatshirt and her waist for an initial photo, and then thinking the photo taking portion was done. She was surprised when he asked her to forward again, and that's when he put his face to her and kissed her. Emphasis on the original. I think this person here has already come out and said don't use her picture like that. And this is the beginning of the TCPA. They're trying to argue that Vic is a public figure in an all-out assault on Monica Rawl and Toye's right of free speech to comment on a matter of public concern. I don't know who Vic is. Before looking at all this, I wouldn't know who Vic was if he was walking down the street, walking into a store of mine, or store I was at, or anything else. I wouldn't know him because he's a voice actor. And to me, if you're gonna have a public figure, you'd think they'd be somebody that was well known. Like somebody says, "Hey, Samuel L. Jackson committed this," or Gerard Butler committed this, or Dwayne Johnson, or Jason Statham, or people that are pretty much more of a household name. That's who I consider being a public figure. I know there's different legal ones, for limited public figure and stuff like this, but I don't know if this kind of holds true, really. Um, Plaintiff's case is a textbook strategic lawsuit against public participation or a slap. Plaintiff is a famous actor by his own admission, one of the biggest names in the field. I beg to disagree. I mean, how many people outside of outside the anime community know who he is? Maybe a few Star Trek fans that watch the that one video web series he did for Star Trek Continues. But but for the public at large, they probably don't know who this guy is. They're saying he did additional commercial and broadcast music work. Again, if he's doing like jingles or something like that, you wouldn't know who he is because they never say who he is. They just you play the jingle and you go on about. From a variety of private recording projects as well from contemporary Christian rap. There's no creative music that which worships the creator of music of all. Vic counts it a great joy and privilege to lead worship at venues around the country and having produced several praise and worship albums. I don't know. I mean, I don't know many Christian people that are into rap. Maybe it's a thing. Um, I don't know. I mean, how many people actually know who he is? I don't know. I don't know how popular Christian rap is. I wouldn't know. Says he's had a long insulated him from accountability despite over a decade of reprehensible conduct. Okay. Um, Plaintiff had a starring role in what would become anime's largest movies of all, with the spotlight, international attention, had unintended effects exposing his dark past. Commentators on social media, industry publications, and even other voice actors beginning discussing long-running rumors of the plaintiff's alleged. Um, I'm not gonna say this because YouTube, and this, you know, and this, and some harassment going on. As public criticism grew, studios began investigating cons, conventions where voice actors meet other fans and make large part of their living, beginning to disinvite him, and eventually two large Texas production studios publicly ended their relationship with the plaintiff. They're saying that the plaintiff saw the writing on the wall and spurred his legions of fans to defend him in order to minimize any public criticism. by spurred his legions, he asked his fans to counter the negative publicity which he was getting with stories of positive encounters with him. So, if that's what they're going by, I don't know. I don't know. Allied with one of the internet shock jocks. If you don't know who they're talking about here, that's Nick Rekieta, which I'll be mentioning quite a few times. He has some depositions, of everything that happened, and I'll be linking those in the description, in the description with everything going on. So basically said, unleashed nightly torrent of abuse, harassment, and vitriol online. Plaintiff's goal is clear. With enough abuse, harassment, and threats, plaintiff accusers will fall silent. No, I think actually Nick is sticking up for Mr. Mignogna with everything that's going on. I mean, could Vic have done this? Yeah, there's always a possibility. He always could have. But from what I'm seeing here, I don't know. I don't think so. From everything I've seen, and like I said, I've watched the depositions, which they gave out. Because originally when I heard about this, I thought he got fired for hugging a fan at a convention. I'm going, well, that ain't right. If he just gave somebody a hug and now all of a sudden people are like, oh, that's harassment. That's not right, and it needs to be fired. And then when I looked, it's like, oh, okay. So and then I started looking into it a little more. You know, um, they're also trying to say that this lawsuit is designed to hammer and smash Monica Rawl and Jamie Marchi, two well-known voice actors. You know, if plaintiff can silence two women with those less notoriety, the power will retreat into the shadows. So basically, they're saying that Vic's trying to attack women when, for the most part, he's been pretty silent on Twitter. He hasn't really attacked them. He's just been, sitting silently by and watching people do this. So, relevant factual background. Plaintiff graduated from Liberty University in 1986, taking his first job at Trinity Christian Academy after leaving after 1 year. He also had some relation with Lynchburg Christian Academy in 1989, where he paid special attention to one of his students, female high school sophomore, during the course of the school year. This here is false. They're trying to say that he had a relationship with the Lynchburg Christian Academy person in Lynchburg, Maryland, I believe, and he was actually in Florida. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of evidence saying that he was not where they said where they're trying to say he's at right now in here. This is an 89 plaintiff invited a teenager over to his home under a guise of showing her a Christian workshop video, but when the plaintiff really wanted was sexual relations with a teenager. This ruse, inviting a potential victim to a secluded location under false pretenses, would have repeated itself. Fortunately, in this occasion, the young woman fended him off and left Lynchburg, Virginia for Houston, Texas shortly after. This is the person here, Robin Michelle Blankenship, and she was posting stuff on Twitter, and then she photoshopped. They proved that she actually photoshopped a picture of Vic in her high school play or their academy play or whatever it was. So this here is disingenuous because he in fact was in Florida. I can't remember the exact city in Florida, like Jacksonville maybe or something like that. But yeah, this is pretty false here. Plaintiff spends 20 years cloaking himself in the guise of a Christian actor, musician. This person is far from the truth. Describes himself as a voice actor who performed voices of animated characters for over 22 years, mainly anime productions, with over 350 actor credits to his name, and attends approximately 35 to 40 cons every year and derives sizable income from appearance fees guaranteed by contract with convention producers in a form of signing autographs, taking photos with fans, and appearing with guest panels. Accomplished actor in front of the camera, writing, directing, starring in an award-winning web series based on Star Trek. Filming 3 screen projects. Plaintiff's website also states he has produced over 20 independent films. That doesn't make him a public figure, though. Like I said, if he's walking down the street and you don't recognize him, is he a public figure? They're trying to say he's positioned himself as a devout Christian. Here they're saying, well, he's got 113,000 followers. What does that have to do with him being a public figure? I mean, there's some people like Beyonce. How many Twitter followers does she have? There's a lot of famous people who have way more followers than that. And these are probably fans that follow him. He has a dedicated fan club called the Risen Bull Rangers, reference to one of those most famous characters. Again, a fan started this. He didn't condone it. He didn't start it. A fan started this. They're saying plaintiff's power and celebrity in the anime industry, such as a few that will go on the record concerning his conduct. I don't know. Those who work behind the scenes described him as a prima donna who uses his celebrity to pursue young women for sex. Vic denies this, and which he denies. Bans or being asked not to come back to conventions. Of those in the know, the brave enough to speak out on record prior to the dispute, plaintiffs was banned from Koshikon Anime Central Convention. I believe this is false. I couldn't find anything to say he was banned from this. They're trying to say it was banned again in 2019. Well, this is when everything started. But I couldn't find anything where he was banned. Koyakon Anime Weekend in Atlanta. This was after everything started. And the cons kept getting pressured to drop him because of false accusations and the hashtag #KickVic. He has been conspicuously absent from the RTX convention for the last 2 years. That's not uncommon for voice actors not to get re-invited back to cons, because there's a lot of people in that industry, producers and voice actors and every stuff going on. So it's not uncommon. It says the Koshikon ban in 2007 is particularly troublesome considering he was stalking a Japanese singer voice actor who had to move to a secret room with security detail to keep Vic from finding her, and he is also caught with 3 underage females in his hotel room. One security professional has personally observed plaintiff for years, to put it bluntly. I couldn't find any police reports of this, and if this one security guard saw that, then that doesn't make him any better than what it would be if Vic did this. This is the problem. They're trying to say, well, he's done this. But you can't find any police reports, can't file any charges. And I'm pretty sure if somebody would have said, hey, we've got 3 underage females in a person's room, you need to check it out, cops would have been there immediately. It wouldn't have mattered, how strong he is, how powerful you think he is in the community. Had they said that, had somebody contacted the FBI, it'd have been game over. It wouldn't have happened. And this is the security is based on my personal observation, personal interactions, and professional experience and training as a security officer. I believe I can't speak today. Mignana is a sexual predator. He deserves to does not pay attention to the age of anyone he talks to. If he's attracted to you, he will make it known aggressively. Further observed a lot of encroachment into other individuals' personal space. For example, I noticed Mignana place his hand on the wall above a female's head, touching the female on her shoulders, arms, whispering in their ears. I observed this behavior repeatedly from women and teenagers. I believe Mignana has left strings of sexual victims across the country due to his celebrity status allows him to have ample opportunities to be inappropriate. A lot of the smaller conventions put up with Mignana because they know his fans will show up and spend a decent amount of money. And this is the problem. Personal space. Did they act uncomfortable? That's the thing. We're so focused on what somebody else is. Oh, I feel uncomfortable he's doing that. Did the other, was he doing it in a sexual way, or is he just, being playful or what? But, the way I look at it is, if this is the security guard that observed who caught 3 underage females in his hotel room, why did he not contact the police? This is another big hole for me, because for me, if I'd catch anybody with an underage female in their hotel room, my first call would be to the FBI and the police to say, look, you got this guy that is acting inappropriate to these young women. They have him in his hotel room. You guys need to come check it out. So I'm not buying this part here. Just because everything I've searched, especially with a ban, I can't find anything except for the recent where he's been uninvited from certain cons. Uh, Eyewitness accounts of inappropriate contact with convention goers are legion, resulting in attendees lodging complaints. Plaintiff has been rude to staff, having bad reputation in anime community. And I think he said this in his deposition that things were promised, and he got a little upset in the moment. Which depending on your personality, if you've asked for something, doesn't show up, hey, you may get a little snippy. Vic's behavior reveals that he is not guided by Christian virtue. What does this mean? How many Christians do you know that are actually virtuous? I mean, come on. And if everybody acted the way they were supposed to in the Bible, we'd be in trouble. Says Monica Rawl is a survivor and voice actor who has worked with voice acting over the last 20 years. I think if you look on her IMDb page, she actually has more films than Vic. Here she goes in 2007. Zumikon in Oklahoma City, plaintiff invited Miss Rial to his room to watch a video. Miss Rial was distracted by the video. Vic grabbed her by the arms, began kissing aggressively, pushing her on the bed, climbed on top of her, continued to aggressively kiss her while holding her down, and notably this is the same tactic plaintiff used in 99. They cut some parts out of this, because if you read her interrogatories, which is on the bottom, she says Stan Dowling was supposed to collect them for to go to dinner, and when Vic did this all, Stan knocked on the door. Vic hurriedly went to the door, answered the door, and Mr. Dowling noticed that Miss Rial was upset and asked her a couple of times if she was okay, and she didn't know. She, out of fear, she didn't know how to respond, and she kept covering her face and everything else. I find it funny how they omitted part of this statement here. So it'd be interesting if when they put the affidavit in with Mr. Dowling and the rest of her sentence, that this might get taken. This is another hole. Said she chose to remain silent until it became clear the plaintiff had no intention of curbing his predatory behavior. Let's see if there's anything here. Yeah, they didn't put this in there, so this is kind of disingenuous here. Here, plaintiff forces himself on Kara Edwards. Plaintiff's assault of Miss Rial is similar to plaintiff's attempt to have sex with voice actor Kara Edwards, 2008, and again in 2010 at ShadowCon convention in Tampa, Florida. Plaintiff harassed and intimidated Miss Edwards, ignoring her resistance and his own pre-existing relationships and hoping to pressure another woman into compromising herself for his pleasure. Plaintiff agreed. Again, attempted to corner vulnerable women in a secluded place. Felt threatened in her career and would suffer rejection in his advances. Nevertheless, she resisted the plaintiff's aggressive attempts to bed her. The following day, the plaintiff exacted his petty revenge on Miss Edwards by interfering with her pre-scheduled autograph signing. Miss Edwards disclosed plaintiff's action to Mary Reese the following day. I haven't seen that. But this here, I know she complained about a tango she did. But when you watch a video, it sure looks like she comes up and asks him to dance a tango. I don't know what all happened after that, but I know the clip that I saw was didn't look like she was threatened or anything. It looked like she was having fun. They were having a good time. It was in front of everybody at a con panel, and it looked like they were having a good time. admitted infidelity, consensual activities in anime industry. They're talking about with voice actress Michelle Speech, which he was engaged to her from 2006 to 2018. Not only did they live together, they were engaged in 2010 during this time. That they're saying he assaulted Royale and tried to have sex with Miss Edwards on 2 occasions. How many people do you know that's cheated on somebody in a relationship or have heard? You know what happens? Does it make it right? No, it doesn't make it right at all. But it happens. Do I think, my personal opinion on that is if you're going to cheat on somebody, you might as well break it off with them and say, look, things aren't working, and I don't want to cheat on you and make you feel like garbage. We need to end it, because I'm just not feeling it. So, that's my take on that. He also admitted, at some point he did solicit sex for a prostitute. I think he said he did it one time. This here, tried to have sex with 2 women related by birth at the same time during a convention. How many guys have you have had that fantasy? Not saying it's good, not saying it's bad, but But here, I believe in his deposition, he said he'd met these 2 women, and over the course of I don't know, 4 or 5 conventions or something, it looked like they had an interest in him. You invite him up the room. He says, hey, you want to, do some McLovin? They're like, nope, you're old enough to be my dad. Or something like that. I think that's what their account was. I don't know, what Vic's take was. And on the thing, he said, hey, you want to try some McLovin? They're like, nope, that's not why we came up here. And they left. He's like, okay. They leave. Nothing happened. And, the same thing is, though, that these 2 women were living with Ron Toye and Monica Real. So, I don't know. Said he had at least 1 ongoing sexual relationship while engaged to Miss Speech. Again, I've voiced my opinion on that. Doesn't make him a rapist. It just makes him a cheater. And not everybody's perfect, And like I said, my feelings are is if you're going to cheat, you might as well not be with that person, I said made a mistake during the engagement somewhere between 5 and 50 times. I don't know where they got to 50, but, so be it. He has a prodigious sexual appetite, and his bizarre explanation for why people make up stories about him sexually assaulting them is that they need to get attention. How many times have we seen this happen? Look at that, I think he was in California, that high school kid. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But this chick accused him of rape, of sexually assaulting her, and later on it proved to be false. And this guy's just now getting his life back. I think he tried out for Atlanta or something. Maybe somebody in the group can explain that to me, but or let me know. But I remember that. I know there was recently I saw some Australian guy that his own fiance did that to him and destroyed his life, his parents' lives, and everything else. So they're saying this is a bizarre, isn't too bizarre because we've seen it happen. We've heard that, and I want to say the CDC says that they can't say how many rapes are actually false. I want to say 10% or something that may be false. I can't remember that number. But you know, I've heard stories of this happening where they say, "Yep," and it turns out to be false. And here goes the question he asks. I mean, is there something about anything that you have done over the past 20 years in voice acting community that would lend credence to people thinking that you're a assaulter? No. There are an awful lot of fans out there who are really desperate for attention, and they often like to talk about people to get it. And then their lawyer says, and your theory is that they make up stories about you sexual assaulting them to get attention. And he goes, absolutely. And then wouldn't it be easier to say I had sex with Vic and get attention as opposed to saying Vic assaulted me? And Vic's like, yeah, I'm sure it's gonna happen. Give it time. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure somebody out there would say that. Um, you know, they say it's become clear that Miss Beach and Vic lied to her throughout their 12-year relationship, and he used his fame and attendance convention to pursue sex with as many young fans as he could. Vic has no words to express his shame for his conduct. Well, he said it was a mistake for him. Like I said, I mean, just because he's a cheater doesn't mean he's trying to sleep with underage girls. You know? But you could probably look up a lot of cases where this is a case where somebody has said they assaulted them to get attention, you know? I don't know. Vic's one of the most popular characters is Broly from Dragon Ball Z series. That came out on like the 16th, entitled Dragon Ball Super Broly. Premiered in the United States, earning $7 million the first day, which is pretty good. $24 million within the first 5 days, and then what was it 30.7 million in box office alone, and then another 88 million worldwide. That's pretty good for an anime film. Somebody with the Twitter handle Hanleia accused Vic of being a I'm not gonna say this, a rude a-hole, and been creeping on underage females for over 10 years. The same user tagged Funimation with a question. Hey, Funimation, why do you employ a known, this, and linked to allegations of sexual misconduct by Mr. Mignana's anime conventions. Now, they don't mention here the link they gave him, but I'm pretty sure the link they gave him was prettyuglylittleLiars.net or something. And the person that started that thread said, none of this has been checked out. It's not proven. It's just people where they can share stories, So she linked this saying, yep. And then they all linked Monica Rial and Ron Toy used that, and you're going. And some of the sources were unverified. Well, if you can't verify a source, how do you know it's true? I mean, this sounds weird to me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. Not surprising, plaintiff admits receiving criticism for years, kissing young girls, acknowledged rumors of that dogging him as well as prior to January 2019, his decade-long run of infidelity while in a relationship with Miss Beach. They keep going back to this to show bad character on him, which, it is. He cheated. He shouldn't have cheated. But that doesn't make him this for cheating on his fiance or his girlfriend. Here they're saying plaintiff weaponized his fan base, issued several self-serving statements to spin a narrative in his favor. The misconduct intensified, perhaps realizing social climate no longer supported his behavior. 19th plaintiff arranged online chat with the Risen Bull Rangers to instruction was clear. Do whatever you can to counter all these lies. That's false. He says, he told them, he said, share your stories of me, positive interactions with me. And if you watch one of his panels, you'll see that it actually looks like he's there for the fans. He's actually there. I mean, I saw him where he was giving out, some of his own stuff, that he's collected over the years. He was engaging with fans, answering their questions, and it looked like he truly cares about his fans. So I'm not buying this. And even from what I've saw, he's never condoned anything by means necessary to shut people up. He was like, share your positive encounters. And if that's do whatever you can, then we're already going downhill. They're trying to say he hosted numerous. Okay, maybe they didn't say numerous, but they said hosted what our anime community refers to as rumor panels, in which he seeks to dispel rumors about himself, upsettling similar communications to issue this dispute. They use this one example. Fans at Amazing Davenport, Iowa, that women made up allegations against him, unimportant people seeking attention to do stupid, mean-spirited, hateful things just to get attention, all because somebody wanted to notice them. It does happen. It does happen, guys, and yeah, it does happen. And he said he did this one time because it's what it turned into. He didn't have any thing of actually going through and doing it. He just said, yeah, that's what it turned into. Here again, they're referencing the Reasonable Rangers. Plaintiff explicitly refers to hugging and affectionate demeanor of my army of supporters with what continues to be his main defense. His accusers are desperate liars. Calls allegations against him absurd, baseless garbage, leveled by a tiny group of detractors as if the allegations would have more force had there been more women coming forward. And again, he instructs his supporters to do whatever he can to counter all these lies and negativity. He said to counter it with positivity. He even went on Twitter when he found out that some of the I Stand With Vic people were harassing people and said, I don't condone this. Pronounced arm the rumors concerning his, not gonna say this, or or this, harassment of people, and definitely can't say that. The apology fails. Numerous articles outline what insiders have known for years. Yeah, and this is the problem I have. If insiders have known this before, how does he keep getting invited back to cons over and over and over again? Because sooner or later, one of these fans is going to sue the convention for allowing this misconduct. And there's never been, from what I've seen, there's no fans that came forward to try to sue the convention because, if you have somebody coming into your convention and they are assaulting your people that are paying you money into the convention and they file a suit against you, I don't think that's going to be very good for business. Polygon article, which I haven't read it, but from what I can find online, a lot of people are like, a lot of the stuff in there is false and based on rumors. I mean, you could probably find that article online pretty easily. They say many convention stories continue to come out on social media dealing with times when actors flirtatiously towards them, finally kissing, groping them without their consent, while most of them still underage. While these allegations are only just picking up steam, many of them go back as far as 2010. Anime News Network, I think a lot of those, that's been proven false. A Twitter thread posted on January 16th accused dub voice actor Vic Mignogna of this and rude behavior. This was all from him not saying, I think it's called yaoi art. and that's basically this kind of art, and he refused to sign it. You know, I mean, he has the right to refuse. And I'm not going to sign this. You know, does that make him this because he refused to sign this art? Not necessarily. He just said, I'm not comfortable signing that. So, assaulting women at anime conventions. He's been accused. Where are the police reports? I have yet to come across a police report of this. An investigation by the police. I have not found this. So I don't know. I'm not buying this. There's too many holes in this story. I'm just not buying all this. I mean, you can check this article out. Gizmodo's another one. You know, unbeknownst to the public at large, Funimation conducted an investigation into plaintiff's behavior, including interviewing Miss Rial. 3 others found explanations unconvincing and quietly terminated a relationship with him. There's IO9 article that they're referring to. I hear that was a bunch of lying, malarkey, I guess you'd call it. You know, I don't know. Yeah, he's gonna say that, you know, these articles are defamatory and endangers his reputation. Absolutely. If, you know, 95%, 99% of these are false and you published it, I can't remember which one, but one of them asked him for an interview and he refused because it became clear that they were just doing it just to get traffic and they weren't, you know, actually trying to seek the truth. You know, but as far as I know, and from what you see, the Funimation didn't fire him for the S harassment. I think they said they just for violating like a some policy. I'm not even too sure about that, but plaintiff's poor reputation in general, refusal to acknowledge that kissing children is improper. Twitter firestorm, defamatory articles take their toll. 2 major anime studios terminated our association with plaintiff, causing plaintiff to lose multiple convictions. So, because he kisses a kid on a fan on the forehead or on the cheek, not in a S way, just as a term of endearment, which, you know, the fans may have asked, hey, you know, I want to pose for this. Can you give me a little peck on the cheek or you know, that, you know, somehow all of a sudden he's he's a human piece of garbage, you know. Rooster Teeth, from what I've saw, Vic on the deputy says he didn't know why he was fired. Nobody at Rooster Teeth would tell him why. And when he got an email that got sent to him by accident, it basically told him nobody is to have any further contact with Vic. So, him asking, hey, why was I terminated? Why was I fired? And they're like, da 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 da. We're not going to tell you why. You know, just move on, get along, go. We don't care. You know, go. Leave. He sent an email to Miss Rial, and her saying under a guise of wanting to know what he did wrong nobly, he did not send an apology to the other 3 women who were part of the Funimation investigation. Well, I believe he was, you know, he sent that asking, you know, what have I done? What did I do so I can, you know, truly apologize? I don't remember, you know, what this all about, you know, which is understandable. I mean, because the stuff that she was setting out on Twitter was horrible. And then Jamie Markey, I think she sent out a tweet, and hopefully it shows it in here, but was like really vitriol. Funimation publicly terminated his contract on February 13th of 2019. Plaintiff issued another Twitter apology in which he stated it was not his place to contradict people if they claim that he's made them feel uncomfortable. At this time, plaintiff specifically drags his colleagues into the public fray. No, they dragged him kicking and screaming into the public fray by what they did. And he did apologize, saying, hey, if I've made anybody uncomfortable or whatnot, I'm sorry, I apologize. Because, if a fan comes up, you give them a hug and they're like, hey, they have some people have like a little personal space bubble that they don't like people invading. He might not know that. So he was apologizing, say, hey, I didn't know, I'm not going to do this. And he's stopped doing that. And you'll see that on one of the recent panels he's done. Like somebody asked for a hug and he's like, nope. See, my assistant would be more than willing to give you a hug. I'm not doing that. Amateur. This is a shock jock about an amateur internet shock jock injects himself in controversy. Raises over $225,000 to help grind a defendants. I believe this thing's up to $250 or something. I know he's trying to get a goal of like 3,000. So I think the last count I seen was like 230 or 240 or something. I can't remember. Nick Rekieta is an internet shock jock. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Minnesota resident who manages a channel on YouTube and allegedly practicing a lawyer and journalist. I love how they put journalist in quotations as to say he's not a journalist. He is doing a YouTube channel. He is reporting the news, so I guess that does make him kind of an independent journalist, like I guess like a Tim Pool or some of the other ones that I can't think of by offhand. Sometime in February 2019, allegedly out of the blue, his shock jock contacted plaintiff directly and expressed the support for Vic's plight. On February 19th, Rekieta set up a GoFundMe campaign with the purpose of funding lawsuits against many possible defendants. Well, yeah, if they're defaming him, wouldn't you want to get your reputation, your name back? If somebody come up to your workplace of business and work, and you get fired, and you get accused of, being a, an abuser, or some type of phobia, and you get fired, wouldn't you want to seek damages to recoup what you've lost? Because now it's going to be harder for you to, find a job and make a living and not be homeless and everything. So, and this came out of the blue because I believe Nick Rekieta said on his streams before that the fans expressed a way that they wanted to help him and didn't know how to go about it. So he set up a GoFundMe so that they could donate there. He has never donated to it. He does not have access to the money. So, there it is. Including bloggers, corporations, pseudo-anonymous keyboard warriors, the GoFundMe War Chest. And here it tells what it is. The fund is set up for Vic's legal defense fees. There are many possible defendants in different jurisdictions. I cannot speak today. From boring bloggers to multi-million, even multi-billion-dollar corporations. And it takes agile and experienced, not cheap legal team to coordinate this kind of strategy. He goes, I'm not representing Vic in any legal capacity, but I'm aware of the team who is and will coordinate the fund to pay for Vic's legal fees. Litigation costs are high depending on actions of your opponents, so I'm hoping to raise enough to account for that. We all announce the depositions of the extra funds candidly and provide updates on usage of the funds to the extent that such information can be made public. But it's time to fight back. Brigades of pseudo-anonymous keyboard warriors cannot be allowed to defame and destroy decades of goodwill on rumor and unverifiable allegations. Companies cannot rely on non-credible accusations that devastate their career and virtue points. And I don't have a problem with those statements, because how many times have we seen somebody, get dropped from a sponsorship or something like that because people fake outrage, or they just say, "Oh, can't stand this. You need to ban them. You need to da 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 da." Try to get people banned because they don't like their speech, and I don't agree with that. But that's just my opinion. So, you got somebody sitting behind a keyboard that's making allegations that you can't prove, and you get somebody fired and take their livelihood away. That's not right. Plaintiff told his 113 Twitter followers that he approved the creation of the GoFundMe war chest. Public acknowledges that his previous statement had been intended to silence his critic where he had failed. Plaintiff defers to Rekieta as a friend and directs his dedicated fans to donate funds for his retaliatory lawsuit. The motive for the GoFundMe war chest is explained by Shot Jock. And here he goes. There are hundreds of hours of videos of my motives for contributing to the GoFundMe war chest. The error of creating it, not contributing to it. The biggest one is I just don't like any of the defendants. I think they're terrible people, and I want to see them ground into dust. Because when you lie to take away a man's livelihood, you deserve to be ground into dust. You're scum, you know it, that's why I created it. What's wrong with this statement here? If you lie on somebody and you get their job taken away from them and they have no other, recourse, how are they going to live? I absolutely, I don't have a problem with that. If you lie and you're lying and you ruin, whether it be a man, woman, whoever, you lie and you get their livelihood taken away, you should pay for lying. You shouldn't be able just to say it, move on with your life without any consequences for your actions. Capitalizing on the sensationalism of this dispute, Shot Jock has used his YouTube show mainly to generate more money for himself. He's a businessman. He's a YouTube person. The whole point of being on YouTube and making videos, is to ultimately make money, and grow your channel. And if this helps him grow his channel and making money, so be it. As long as he's not, breaking the law by doing something he shouldn't be doing. And secondly, to threaten disclosure of personal information, witnesses hostile to the plaintiff. This is a lie. This is a website I was talking about. Hey, pretty ugly little liars. I know you're watching, and even though you're never, ever understanding, but just in case you don't realize what it means, if any of your identities are discerned by the court, it might not even be by me. It might be by Casey leaking them to Shane, then makes them public. That would be a real shame. That would be a real shame if, like your workplace, like let's say there's someone who emailed the convention or a signing event or something, and it was easy to ascertain where they worked, like an image of what happens when the person who goes out and lies about someone gets their job ruined. That's a person's email workplace gets exposed on the internet. It's the weirdest thing on earth that they would ask for this. Emphasis on added. And what they left out is the attorney for Monica and Ron said that none of the people involved, the third parties, wanted their anything to be confidential. They wanted it all out in the public. These people wanted everything in the public. And when Vic's attorney was trying to push a confidentiality agreement across the board, saying, hey, Maybe these people that are third party people don't want their personal information out there. Maybe we should try to protect these people. And they were like, no, we want it all public. They want it public. So what to me what Nick's saying, hey, the lawyer for the other side, the defendants, you guys are coming up and giving, they're using your statements. This has to be investigated. And if somebody finds out your names and it gets exposed, it would be on the other team, because the plaintiff wanted to keep names and stuff private, but they didn't want to, because they said that you guys came forward and wanted everything out there in the open. True to his words, Rekieta and Vic's fans have embarked on a terrifying campaign of harassment threats to defendants, several witnesses. This, combined with plaintiff's intent to sue others in the future, has created a toxic public debate instigated by plaintiff and his online proxies. No, Vic didn't start it. You guys started it, because if you go back to Twitter when all this was starting, Vic was silent as a church mouse. So this here to me is disingenuous. Prior to filing a suit, Vic's friend purposely proposes an agreement to avoid litigation. Plaintiff will publicly declare himself a sex addict if Miss Riedel and Marchie will recant. Now, this was made by his friend Chuck Huber, who was trying to, I guess, diffuse the situation. But Vic didn't agree to this. This is something that the guy wrote, sent it to him, and Huber even references a legal team requiring a statement from Miss Marchie and Rial believed that the shock jock would be on board. Miss Marchie and Rial refused to agree, proposed statements because they were untruthful. Well, from what I'm seeing, some of the stuff you guys are saying are untruthful. So, but they're trying to use this, in there, but Vic didn't authorize it. The guy just said, hey, I wrote something up. I sent this to Markey and all them. They said nope. Plaintiff would unleash, and please don't mistake this as some weakness on their part. This is an effort to try and stop something that will be very damaging. They have full court press prepared, and it's not a minor effort. They will be extremely thorough in both legal and social spheres. Deterrent these type of scorched earth tactics waged by a powerful man lashing out at his victims. No, if you say something untrue, you should expect to get the same. Now, listen, I don't know if Vic did any of this. I'm just using my, I guess I'm using opinion. It's some of the stuff I've saw with the deposition stuff that I've read, that I don't know. I think these guys are in world of hurt, and I don't know. They're trying to say he's a public. I don't know how he can be. I don't know. To me, I don't think he's a public figure, in my opinion, just because he's not well known. Tortious interference. They got Ron Toye. They've got text messages where he was on, I think, with Kamea basically telling him, well, if Vic was involved, we can't sponsor, yada, yada, yada. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, boom, Kamea cancels. So, and then there's Vic said he's heard rumblings, which will probably be investigated even more, with the cons, to say, hey, did these people contact you? What did they say? Blah, 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 blah. They could be in trouble. And like I said, this is all in my opinion. See if I can get to the. Oh, they probably won't. Yeah. Let's see. Where your knowledge she's been ever witnessing? Don't you're sure? Um, what? 11. Talking about being a police officer. Trying to find the one. Where it's saying he went to Maryland. Go ahead. Teach. Yes, sir. He went to a school at Trinity Christian Camp. Where is it? Jacksonville, Florida. So they're trying to say this was in that. Remember, in that definition, up there they stated that was in Lynchburg. Here he's in Florida, teaching at the school. So yeah, like I said, there's stuff in here that is questionable, and you're like, well, you put this in there, and can be easily debunked. Easily debunked. So, yeah, guys, this is it. I mean, I could go on and go through all this if you guys want. Let me know in the comments if you want me to go through all this, but it's going to take a long time. Like I said, there's like, 529 pages of this. I just tried to hit some of the highlights, but let me know what you think. Do you think Vic did it? I'm going to link all the depositions in the description below so that you can go watch, Nick Rekieta's depositions. They're quite long. I mean, I think they're somewhere between 4 and 5 hours each. So it's quite lengthy. But watch it. Especially watch Ron Toys, and you'll see that. I mean, that guy looks a little squirrely there, and a lot of his answers when they were going over his Twitter tweets was his whole thing was I don't recall. I think he said he didn't even recall his Twitter handle, and then when you get Miss Rial in there, when she's answering questions, she's not really looking at the interviewer. She's kind of looking all over the place, like somebody that can't face the truth or whatever they're saying when what's going on. Because usually, when I was taught growing up is, somebody asks you a question, whoever, a police officer, lawyer, or something like that, look them directly in the eye and, don't fidget around, don't, because, people see that and they read your body language, it looks like you're lying, So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'll link all that in the description. Let me know if you think Vic's innocent, if you think he's guilty. You just don't know. Like, share, subscribe. You all have a fantastic day, and even hopefully a fantastic day and a great weekend. All right, people. Later.